everyone. You're listening to Lipstick and Leather, and with me on video and audio is Mr. Mitch Malloy. How are things going? All
Going
right.
well. I'm still 12. I still got that 12-year-old down in there somewhere. Just unleashed him. So are you recording?
Yes, I just hit record like half a second ago. I didn't know how to do that either, but yes, so we're recording now. We're good.
Yay. Cheers, everyone.
Definitely. All right. It's been
Have
a
some
couple.
Kool-Aid.
Yes, it's been a couple years since I've seen you. A little while. Back in what we did, Winnipeg. I saw you at. That was a lot of fun.
Has it been years, dude?
Definitely
Really?
years. Yeah.
God, COVID year though. COVID year doesn't count.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So here we are, and you have a Cinderella shirt in back of you.
I do, a Cinderella flag and a Mitch Malloy shirt on me.
Oh yeah. Can't see it, man. Need to back up a little bit.
Yes.
There it
right here.
Wow. That's a serious touch of class there.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So what do you got?
All right. Well, let's start it off right now.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how is the My Therapy release party you had on February 27th?
It was cool. We got tons of cool pictures, and the social distancing shows are the way it was laid out. It's a bit of a challenge for me. I'm, kind of spoiled and used to thousands of people packed in with Great White, and that is really a big part of a rock show. Is having those people right there, and you're like, right there, they're right there, and it's like, yeah. So social distancing is not quite the same. Yeah. So but still, we got to play some rock, and people liked it, and it was cool. It was good.
Very cool. Now, the next single is called Let's Roll. Will there be a video for it?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's this champion race car dude named Spencer Boyd, young 25-year-old, just won Talladega, which, for you race car fans out there, Talladega. Cool guy. And I met him and we hung out, and I thought, I need to write a song for this guy. And so I came up with this idea, Let's Roll. And it's about, it's about life kind of, but it's also about racing. It's kind of metaphorical, I guess. And it's a rockin' tune. And we're going to be shooting a video with him in North Carolina very, very soon. Yeah.
Definitely looking forward to that. Now.
Me too.
Now, you wrote the track called Building a Bridge. Now, will you record a version of this at some point down the road?
I love that song, Building a Bridge. Yeah. That's probably going to end up being a Malloy song, because the way Great White wants to do the next record is we all get together and we do it together, which I don't think I've ever done. So I'm kind of down. I'm like, oh, because initially I was like, well, let's make a record remotely, and we can just, throw tracks around, and I've got some songs, and, I had this whole concept of how to do it, and, other people are doing it. I mean, that's what everybody's doing that this year. Everybody was doing that. So, but they did not want to do that because they've never done it. And they just didn't think that it would be as cool and as good as, so they want to make a great record, and all the great records they made them together, so like I said, I'm totally down. So I think anything that I've written by myself already and demoed, I think it's probably fair to say that that's Malloy music. And we're going to start like Kendall and I right now are writing, and we've written songs over the years that I've been in the band. So we've got some of that as well to choose from, but we have 2 new ones I started yesterday that are really good. I'm really excited. Like, there's going to be some cool Great White music coming. I'm excited. Yeah.
Well, hopefully that happens this year. That would be exciting.
Yes. you know, there's been a bit of a holdup, obviously, because of COVID, but let's see, you know, I'm hoping so. Yeah. Yeah. Let's hope.
Awesome.
Maybe. Yeah.
Now, there's some video of you covering Van Halen's "I'm the One." Do you have access to it, or ever would you consider releasing it maybe down the road from solo shows, of course?
You know, something that's been out, you know, in the, you know, in the domain. Yeah, you can, you know, yeah, I could do that. Will I do that? I've never been asked that question. Leave it to you, Ryan, to ask me a question nobody's ever asked. That's why I'm doing this interview with you. I doubt it. I think covering Van Halen is kind of like covering the Beatles. It's a bit like you have to be really brave and maybe a little stupid. I don't I don't I don't I don't think I don't think anybody could do that justice. Do you? I mean, do you? I mean, do you think there could be a version that's as good as that? I mean, if you can't do it, why bother? That's kind of my thought.
I remember seeing a clip of it on YouTube before it got taken off years ago, and
Yeah.
I was very impressed with it. Yes.
Well, thank you. That was a different band. That was my touring band back then. Yeah, and those guys were amazing, amazing band. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking probably not. I mean, but you never know. Things change all the time, and I changed my mind. So who knows?
Would you ever record a full acoustic solo CD?
I've tried to do that several times, and I just fall asleep. I'm like, this is not rock. I'm bored. I'm like, I think I'm really good at that, but I get bored. I mean, my wife has been saying for ages that I need to do that. And so because of that, it's gonna happen. But I'm not sure when. But yes, it's going to happen. We actually talked about it yesterday or the day before, even, I think. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, I love the version of Problem Child that you played at Firefest. Obviously, very different than the studio version on the first album. Would you ever re-record a version of that or something to some degree?
Probably not, because it's kind of in the past, and I like to move on. I write so many songs that there's, you know, there's not time for the new songs. So I see no point in bringing in the old songs. But I think probably I don't actually recall that moment in time that you're referring to, but was it like a really up-tempo version?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that was the original version of that song. The original Malloy band. That was the original. It's like I forget how it goes. Like that, right? Yeah. It's like really fast and fun. That was the original version of that song, but the album needed something kind of vibey and acoustic. And I had that idea to make it like this acoustic slinky thing. And I got with Tristan. We both had our acoustic guitars, and he came up with a really cool part. And because he's a genius, Tristan Avakian, genius. Yeah. So that's how that came about. But yeah, the original version was the one that you heard. So it's already recorded. Isn't it on Malloy 88? Problem Child? You would know that.
Yeah.
You should know that. If anybody.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was actually.
Really?
I don't think so. Top of my head.
Wow. I must not have had a good recording of it, because that was like one of our best songs live. That was like, I think we used to start with that even. Huh. Have to do some research into that.
And you used to play the debut in its entirety when it first came out, the Malloy album.
That's when I was young and insane. Yeah. Yeah. Very, 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 very difficult music to, to really represent that live is very, very difficult. So yeah, but I mean, the Malloy band is still doing, some of the debut that's happening. So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, back in 2010, your name was thrown around to sing for Giant for the Promised Land album. Were you actually ever asked, or the label contacted you, or members of the band, or something like that?
The label contacted me. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anybody's asked me ever about that. So there you go again. Yeah, they contacted me and said, "Hey, we want to do a Giant record, and some of the guys want to do it. And I know Briggs, I know Michael Brignadello. I mean, I'd used him before on sessions. Bass player, amazing bass player, great guy. And I just thought, I don't think you can really do Giant without Dan Huff. So that was kind of my stance on that. I was really flattered to be asked. We talked a little bit just because I respect the crap out of Michael. He's brilliant. And it would be fun to do something with him someday, but I just didn't think that was, something that I could do well, or, whatever. I had a lot going on too at the time. So yeah.
Fair enough. Now, you expressed interest in singing for Foreigner after Lou left. Did you wind up auditioning for the band, or?
I did not. They got Kelly before I even heard about it. So it was too late, and good for everybody. Because guess what? I'm in Great White, and I love being in Great White. And Foreigner, I love, absolutely great. But could I do that job better than Kelly? No way. He's killing it. I mean, he kills it. Yeah. So they got the right guy.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Now, I know let's see, where is it? All right. I know you're in talks of writing a song with Phil Collin with Def Leppard. I know Phil obviously played on your Mitch Malloy CD, but you were supposedly started writing the song or finished it and didn't finish it?
No, you just caught part of the story there. We wrote together. Yeah. And he played on the album. He played on the song that we co-wrote.
Right.
So I don't know how you missed that, but you did.
But didn't you have a second song, though, that you guys were in the middle of writing that didn't get?
Yes. Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's the story. We had another song. We spoke. We both grew up on Deep Purple. We both worship Ritchie Blackmore. And we were talking about that. And so he came up with this riff and this really cool thing, and a title and everything. And he had, and we just, we started it. And then I had to keep working on the record then. And he got busy with Def Leppard, and it just fell through the cracks. Yeah. I haven't spoken to him in ages. So give him a call and tell him, hey, finish that song with Mitch.
Now, in 2012, you did an awesome version of Silent Night. Would you ever consider recording either a more Christmas songs or a Christmas album?
That falls under the heading of what my wife wants me to do. So yes, it's going to happen. Yeah, I always mean to do it. She's always like, you need to record a Christmas record. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I just never do.
Fair enough.
Maybe next year.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Now, on the Malloy 88 CD, Tim Wheeler was listed as Tim Wheel. Is that, I take it that's a spelling mistake?
Total gaff. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens when your art person is in the UK and your communication isn't great. Yeah. Yeah, that was embarrassing. Tim's like one of my best friends. Whoops.
Now, for your debut album, Nobody Wins in This War and Our Love Will Never Die both charted. Now, why did the label not say make a video for these tracks?
For Nobody Wins in This War and Our Love Will Never Die?
Yes.
I think because videos cost a bloody fortune, and they ran out of money maybe or something. I don't know. I don't really have the answer to that. But I will say this. Mark Weiss, the very famous rock photographer, he contacted me and was just getting into video. And he said, I'm just getting into video. And do you have something like that's maybe more of a pared down thing, something that's just you, or we wouldn't need a band because we don't have like big production. And I said, I have an acoustic version of Nobody Wins in This War. that I cut for radio because radio requested. I was going to radio and singing live, like on the air with my acoustic guitar. And when radio heard that, they thought, we want that. So I flew to Nashville and we made an acoustic version of it. Went to the studio, made an acoustic version of it. And so Mark and I shot a video for that never came out.
Interesting.
It's a cool video too, and I don't know where it is. Mark, do you have the video? I think he probably doesn't have it either. Come on, Mark. Yeah.
And that was a vital time for videos too. So I mean, yeah, your label should have definitely pushed the album more, I thought.
Yeah, there's a lot of that shoulda, coulda, woulda stuff going on with that whole thing. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, they pushed anything at all pretty hard, and it did pretty well and kind of put me on the map a little bit. It charted. It was top 20s on rock, and then it was top 20s on pop. And then Nobody Wins in This War was also top 20, and so was Our Love Will Never Die. So the songs did good at radio, but yeah, I wish they would have done better. I wish there was video for those songs. No.
Now, Desmond Child in the 80s had a reputation for being very difficult to work with. How was your experience working with Desmond?
Desmond is genius, right? And just a perfectionist, and he's just very discerning and very tough. It's all good. I never had a problem with Desmond ever, honestly. I mean, he's just always striving for more and better, and he is not shy about how he feels. And he's very focused. He's like, I want to hear that, and until we get there, I'm not hearing it. So you know what I mean? He's a typical genius, musical genius producer kind of guy. He's not, I got no beef with Desmond. Desmond has been good to me through my career. Like, he's believed in me, and I co-wrote with him, and he's brought me in to sing on some things that he was producing, like Ricky Martin, a couple other things. And yeah, I haven't seen him in ages, but the reason he has the reputation that he has is just because he's great, I think. Yeah.
Definitely fair.
Yeah.
Now, Shadow in the Dark and Never Gave Up on You made it on Ceilings and Walls, but they were set to make the debut album. How come they never made the debut album? Nor were they recorded for it also?
Oh, yeah. I was largely my decision. My manager only wanted a certain amount of songs on the record. He thought for a debut artist, just do the minimum amount. Because you don't want to give them too much, and it's already enough to ask for a debut artist to get to pay attention to you. It'd be one thing if I was a huge act and then it was my second album, then gotta give them more. So that was a part of it, and then also those two songs I thought didn't really make the record stronger for me. It just was one of those things where they just weren't. I wasn't feeling them at the time. Yeah,
that's fair.
And that's been disputed by some fans, like my buddy Victor Broden, bass player who co-produced the 2 record with me. He was like, "You should have put those songs on the record." He's from Sweden, so that was my terrible Swedish accent.
Funny enough, my next question involves Victor. You had a little side band called Positive Prana that did some live shows and wrote original music.
Do you mean Fluid Soul?
Positive Prana, you guys played live shows and wrote original tracks. It was melodic pop rock, it was described as at the time.
There was no band called Positive Prana.
And maybe it turned into Fluid. Because I had the Fluid Soul CD, of course, too.
Yeah. I think maybe that name floated around, but we never had a band name that, as far as I know. I could ask Victor, but I really don't recall that. Yeah, it was either Mitch Malloy or then we did Fluid Soul because I got signed by a label in Sweden that wanted, like a modern rock kind of 90s sound kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they paid me a lot of money to do it, which I needed at the time. And it was fun because it was something different. And I think some good stuff came out of the Fluid Soul record. Yeah.
And around that time or so, you started writing with the Nelson guys. Did the track ever get finished?
No. I kind of had a meeting with them and just a hangout, but we never really wrote. They were super nice though. We just kind of hung out and talked about Nashville because we were in Nashville. I got there maybe a little before them, and then they kind of landed there, and I ran into them in a music store, and they were like, "Hey, you're that guy," and I'm like, "Hey, you don't even know my name," and no, I'm kidding. Yeah, not kidding. They really didn't know my name, but they were super nice, and they invited me over to their house, and we hung out, and I'll never forget this because it's never happened before and never happened since and probably never will. But upon my departure from them, they handed me a microphone. They gave me a microphone. Like they had a bunch of microphones. Like, and I learned later because it happened to me. Sometimes manufacturers will give artists stuff and ask them to sort of pass it around to people that could help the brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's what they were doing because I did it later with a different microphone company. I did the exact same thing. But yeah, Nelson gave me a microphone. How cool is that?
It's very cool.
Very cool. Cool guys, man. Yeah.
Now tell me about almost becoming the singer of RTZ.
Ah, Barry Goudreau called me. Yeah, nobody knows about this, dude. Barry Goudreau called me before I even had a record deal. So what would year that would have been? Maybe like 80. Shoot, what year was that? I'm thinking maybe 86 or 5 or 7 or somewhere in there. And I was blown away that somebody from Boston was on the other line, like calling me like, "You're in Boston, dude." I mean, I worship that band, worship Brad Delp, which I have a Brad Delp story too. But yeah, so and he was like, I'm no longer in Boston, but I have a record deal, and I'm interested in you being the singer. Where is that something you're interested in? And I was like, oh, of course. But I was like, yeah, but I have my own band now, and we're I'm about to get a record deal, and I had a lot of stuff going on, so I think these days you can kind of do a few different things, but back then it just seemed like just do one thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was very much like focused on just what I was doing. So I turned it down. And funny enough, so years later, I was on tour and I was in Boston playing this huge festival with a zillion acts put on by the big pop radio station. And I got there and I was on the stage and I ran into Barry and he shook my hand and he said, "You made the right decision." He said, "You made the right decision and you made a great record." And I was like, because that was my first time actually meeting him. I never met him. Right. So I said, "Where's Brad?" And he goes, "He was just here." And I was like, "Oh, I want to meet him so bad." So little later on, after I don't know, maybe an hour, 2 hours later, I was in my trailer and there's a knock on the door. And I open the door, and it's one of those trailers that's way up high, and there's these the metal steps, and you got to go way up. So I open the door, and down, on the ground, standing there, is Brad Delp. I was the most starstruck I've ever been, and probably will ever be. I couldn't even speak. I was just like, and so I finally uttered the words, "You're Brad Delp." Such a dumbass. Yeah. So he was like, "I just came to tell you, I think you're great. I think your record is great. I wanted to come and say hi." And I was just like, yeah, I had nothing. I was just, and then I realized what an idiot I was being and how shocked I was. And I asked him if he wanted to come in, hang out, and he couldn't. And he said, "No, man, I just wanted to say hi." And he took off. And yeah, that's my Brad Delp story. I'll never forget it. amazing. So RTZ led to that, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, Brad Delp ended up being the singer of RTZ, which was like, okay. Yeah, he's pretty good. Good grief. Yeah.
Now, Rolling Stone just wrote a super awesome article on your time in Van Halen. So I have a couple of quick Van Halen questions for you also.
Yeah.
In the 2 weeks hanging with Van Halen, was any of it documented on video? Any of the rehearsals? I know you rehearsed a ton of cool tracks for it.
It's documented on tape.
Right.
I have tape. I have the sessions of us working together. It was all Eddie taped the whole thing, unbeknownst to anybody. And then upon my departure, handed it to me, you know, and also gave me the music for It's the Right Time, which wasn't It's the Right Time at the time. You know, it was a music bed. And yeah, in between the songs, you can hear everybody talking. Like it's as plain as day. Like, oh, that's Mike Anthony. Oh, that's Ed's voice. Oh, that's Al's voice. And there's me even too talking. You know, I even said something to Al, you know, and I used his name even. So it was just, you know, I didn't know it was being recorded, you know, Ed sneaky. He was sneaky. But yeah, I own that, which is really, really cool. And Rolling Stone, I've never sent it to anybody ever in my life, and I never will again. But I felt I had to send it to Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. And I'm glad I did, because they did probably a bigger feature on me than they ever done on anybody. I mean, did you see how long that was?
Yes, I did.
Like, what the? Yeah, everybody, all my, like, you know, record label heads and people, you know, texting me, and like all my old friends, you know, from the past, they were like, oh my God. Yeah. It's really cool. Really cool.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
Now, kind of sort of on that topic, we were talking about the song That's Why I Love You, has the same backing track as It's the Right Time. Do you know if Gary Cherone recorded a vocal for It's the Right Time?
No, absolutely not. No, his version was his version and my version was my version. You know, he never heard my version until it hit the internet airways. And I couldn't even tell you if he's even heard it, to be honest. Not in touch. So don't know.
Fair.
Yeah.
Now, you were asked by Gary to come sing a Van Halen song on the 3 tour in Nashville. Now, why didn't this wind up happening?
Yeah, the guys asked me if I would. So they were on that tour and they came through Nashville. And so, you know, I was in contact with Ed. So I met them at the hotel and followed them to the show. And because they were leaving right after, they were going straight to the airport, I think. And we hung out. And at one point during the day, somebody said, hey, do you want to come up and sing? You know, I think maybe it was Ed. And I was like, what? You know, like, are you high? You know? So of course I said yes, but we never really I mean, it's kind of thrown around a little bit, what song and like that. And then as the day progressed, and then as it got later in the day, Ed said, well, you know, Mike's already going to sing a song. So, and we just think if you came up, it might be a little strange. Like it might cause, like, you know, the press and all that. Because at the time, nobody knew about my audition.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't said a word to anybody. You know, I think I told my mom. That was about it. So they probably made the right decision there to not have me come up. But yeah, I mean, they were super nice. It was cool.
Very awesome. Now, onto your band Lightning. I know there were some videos from the reunion tour in 2004.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be an audio and a video, a DVD live CD release or whatever. Now, was that recorded, or how come it never got released?
I think that we just decided that we should stop at just putting the stuff out on YouTube. And I think I finished 8 songs with that. I think there's 8 songs on, and maybe they're not on YouTube anymore, but they're on Facebook, right? Isn't that right?
I think that's where I saw them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on Facebook. Yeah. because my original YouTube channel got shut down because I was impersonating a celebrity, which I never considered myself really to be a celebrity, tell you the truth, but apparently YouTube does. And they got confused that I couldn't possibly be Mitch Malloy somehow. I don't know. YouTube, I can't figure them out. So anyway, all those videos got dumped because they shut down my original channel
Interesting.
for impersonating a celebrity. Cool. Is that not the stupidest thing you've ever heard?
Yes, it is.
It's very close. It's very like maybe top 2 stupidest things ever. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow, indeed.
Now, when attending school in Seattle, you were told that you had nodules in your vocal cords and you were told that you would never sing again. How did you overcome this?
Wow. Where do you dig these little tidbits up? Right. So, yeah, I think that was a doctor who really liked doing surgery. That's what I think. Because I went and got a second opinion. One of my teachers at the Cornish Institute of Allied Arts, the school I was going to, said, you need to go get another opinion. You're not going to let somebody go dig into your vocal cords. They could ruin your vocal cords. Mm-hmm. So I did. I went and got a second opinion, and the guy goes, you have no nodules. You don't have nodules. And I was thinking, well, they couldn't really go away in 2 weeks. So I think I never really had them. I should have sued that guy. Anyway, so the thing was, I was singing. I was taking classical vocal lessons at the Cornish Institute. They wanted me to be an opera singer. So I was 18. I didn't, when you're 18, you're like, kind of listen. I kind of listened to everybody and just kind of took it all in. And I thought, could I be an opera star? I don't know if I really want to do that. It was kind of an interesting idea, and I was flattered that they thought I could be. But so I was singing a lot there and learning a new way to sing, because it's a different whole thing. Like it's a, and then I was also in a band and singing rock. So I was singing a lot, and my voice like wore out at a certain point. And that's why I went to that guy, and he's like, oh, you have nodules. We have to operate. And then 2 weeks later, I went to a different guy, and he goes, you have no nodules. So did I answer your question?
You did, actually, perfectly.
Okay, great.
Now, how are you doing for time, Mitch?
I'm good.
You good? Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Now, your original touring band, 3 members of the band were from the band Head. How did you discover your original band, and were you a fan of the New York-based band called Head? So Tony, Bruno, Paul DeLillo, and Jimmy Clark.
Oh, they were in a band called Head?
Yes, they were.
I don't even remember that band.
No, sorry. There was a different band called Head from New York. I was just wondering if you've heard of those guys also. I
don't remember much from back then. So long ago, but I love those guys. They were so, so good. And I was lucky to have them as my band, and then Benji King was a keyboard player who has passed away. Rest in peace, Benji. Super nice, super talented guy. Yeah, it was a good band.
Very cool. Now, Steve Lukather was supposed to play on Take It All. Whatever happened with that?
I did not have the budget for Steve Lukather. Steve was like, okay, well, we cut it at so-and-so and da-da-da-da. And then so that, Steve is not a remote recording kind of guy. Steve is Steve, and he does how he does things. And I totally respect that. But it wasn't in the budget to do that. I mean, I would have had to pay for the studio for the day, have his cartage, bring all his stuff, and then pay his fee on top of all that. And yeah, I mean, I'm not a major label. So that's why that didn't happen. But I love Steve. I do. I love him. He's awesome.
And the track he was supposed to play on was Take It All, of course, written by Randy Goodrum. And I know you love his track As Soon As My Heart Starts Aching, Anticipating.
Yes. Yeah. Randy is an amazing songwriter. And I didn't really understand how close he was to Steve because Randy and I had written a bunch in the past. And yeah, I mean, Randy wrote and produced "Oh Sherry" for Steve Perry.
Hmm.
You know, that's probably his biggest thing that he's done, or one of them anyway. But yeah, he's written a bunch of stuff with and for Toto, and Randy is a musical genius as well. And he and Steve are super tight. And yeah, so it kind of made sense. Like we were writing it so Steve could play on it, and you know, I was maybe thinking maybe Steve would co-write it because Steve and I were talking about something, doing something, and so you know, it got close to almost happening, but it never happened. Yeah.
Would you ever do a project with your good friend Pete Bates, of course, who was from Accept, Don Dawkins' band?
Um, sure. I'll do a project with. I mean, you know, I, 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 I think right now though, my plate is really, really full. You know, I'm working really hard now with Great White, and things are about to open up, and we're going to start doing shows again. I think this summer, and then Malloy is my side outlet for all things not Great White, basically. You know,
Hmm.
and that's kind of in full motion as well. So I'm pretty overwhelmed right now with being busy, and I don't really have any time to do anything else. So yeah, you mean Peter Baltus, of course.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, my bro who played M3 with me. I love Peter, and we always talk about doing something together, and I think we will eventually, um, especially if he moves here because he's been threatening to move down here. So that would be awesome. Yeah,
Definitely would be.
yeah.
Now, Paul Lane recorded a CD, his country western project, Dark Horse. Now, you were in talks to engineer it. Was it just scheduling you didn't have a chance to, or?
Yeah, that's right, right? I'm trying to remember how that happened. What happened with that? I don't remember, to be honest. I think there was a point in my production engineering career where I was just swamped. I don't know how, but I got kind of popular at that, and it just kind of happened. And I started getting phone calls from all over the place. And I don't remember if he actually asked me to do it or not. Did he ask me to do it? Did I tell you that?
No, you didn't. I don't remember how I
Oh,
heard it many, many, many years back.
oh, yeah. I don't remember either, but I remember he did it. He used somebody else, and I think he was really happy with it. It was really good, as I recall. So, but you know, it's tough for the rocker to go into country.
Hmm.
They don't like that in Nashville. They're like, "You're not part of our club. Go away." Which, you know, it's okay.
Now, would you ever consider remixing or re-recording or whatever the Fluid Soul song "Down" or your track "Speak of the Devil"?
Oh, yes. Yes and yes. Yeah, really proud of both of those. And yeah, yeah, yeah. Someday, you know, just keep reminding me, keep poking me. Because I forget, because I move on. I got stuff to do, you know? But yeah, I really am proud of both of those tracks. Speak of the devil, you know, I think maybe a Malloy song. I'm not sure. Because that was definitely a favorite on that record, right? I mean,
Hmm.
people, when I would kind of go fishing for compliments, people would ask, you know, would respond that they like that one, you know? That was a lot of people's favorite song on that record. And I think a lot of times it's my favorite too. And that would be fun to do with the band, I think. Yeah. And down probably, yeah, it could be remixed. I don't think I'd ever attempt to redo it,
Hmm.
you know, because it was like vocally like, oh my God, very difficult. Yeah.
What about the Malloy '88 CD? Would you ever consider remixing that?
You know, if I could, I would, but I can't. I don't have the file. I don't have the tracks.
Mm.
They were lost. The lost tapes. Yeah, I tried to transfer everything to the next formats and everything, but somehow that didn't get transferred, or I let the tape go when I sold the machine for that or something. It fell by the wayside. I think it was during the time that I was out promoting my first album on RCA. So I was swamped,
Hmm.
and some details fell through the cracks. And unfortunately, the tracks for Malloy, that happened. Otherwise, yes, I would remix it, beef it up a bit, add some stuff to it probably. Um, but the Malloy, the original Malloy band was a really magical time, a great band. So yeah, I wish I had that stuff.
Well, Mitch, that's all I got. That was a lot of fun, and it's good to learn new stuff. This is my first video interview ever.
Yeah, you did great.
I
You're
wanted to
good
get
at
the.
you're good at digging up the obscure, unknown stuff. So it's cool. Good
Thank you.
job.
That was
Yeah, good job. My
definitely
pleasure.
a lot of fun. Definitely quite the awesome evening.
Okay. Well, I know we've been talking about doing this for years, it seems like.
Yes.
So finally we did it. So yeah, good job. Good job.